I got another one here from Jacob. Hi, Linus and Luke. Do you guys think Floatplane will ever turn into a big streaming service for techies?
Not in the way, not like for techie. It's not for techies. It's for everybody. We have a lawyer on the platform.
Well, what's interesting is that the conversations that we've been having about new features and how Floatplane could be utilized,
I guess so.
could make it a hugely important video streaming service for
Do
techies,
we want to talk about that?
but not in the way you're thinking at all. Yeah, sure. Why don't we talk about it? Yeah, sure. You're about to listen in on our weekly Floatplane
How
strategy and
detailed
development
do we want to
meeting.
get? Do we want to talk about the thing? This thing?
Let's not talk about that thing.
Okay.
Did you just go like this to me?
Not quite.
Okay.
There's more separation.
I guess I would have been able to tell.
Yeah. Familiar. Yeah, there's some video features, I'll just say it like that, that are going to eventually be coming to the Labs website.
Well, we can talk about some basic ones, like say for example, keyboard videos. Like what did Antoine want to do with the video player again?
Yeah, so basically like a video where you'd watch a key get pressed by the key presser could be played on the site by using Floatplane. Basically having a YouTube embed would be cheap and I mean it would be free and easy, but then we've all seen how that works where like you get the suggested videos being sent at the end of it and it doesn't really fit in with the rest of the flow of the website. You can maybe customize the player, but the second the video ends and it spits out a bunch of suggested videos, you know it's not really part of the site.
And we might not want everything to be like a 16:9 aspect ratio. We might want it embedded a little more tightly with everything around it. Like there's a lot of reasons.
Maybe use GIFs, and this doesn't exclude GIFs, but there might be situations where we want people to be able to have more control over the actual video, or we might want to have our own player for whatever reason on it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's potentially going to be Floatplane integration, extremely likely going to. It's just not there yet.
So screw it. Let's just tell them about the cool feature.
Are you sure?
Yeah, let's just tell them. This is like, it's the kind of thing that obviously talking about it, 6, 12, 18 months before we're ready to launch is going to potentially give someone a heads up. But realistically, like what? Who's going to compete with this? Who could be done this feature in 18 months other than us?
If somebody could, it would just be expensive.
Well, yeah, but that's what I mean.
You totally could.
Yeah, but who will?
Lots of things. I doubt anyone will do it.
You know how hard it is to find any kind of credible answer to this versus that. Some GPU versus another GPU, or some CPU versus another CPU.
Sorry, keep going. I have something else to add to that, but keep going.
Sure. I mean, you usually end up on one of those websites that just kind of has a spec sheet that may or may not be accurate and maybe a little write-up, but like it's like a generated write-up. It's just honestly not that useful. The solution to that up until now has been to search for it on YouTube. And there's this entire genre of videos now, this entire category of videos that's just gameplay captures with frame times.
Frame time information on it and stuff.
Frame times, clock speeds, temperatures overlaid so that you can see the different products running next to each other. The issue is that someone has to go capture that gameplay footage specifically for that video. They have to stitch it together. They have to encode it. They have to upload it to YouTube. They have to title it, and you have to find it. Well, what if on the Labs website, we had a comparison engine that gave you the specs, obviously, so you could compare the specs, the architecture, clock speed, CUDA cores, or whatever else the case may be, but where you could also dynamically generate side-by-side video of whatever games you want to see, of whatever cards you want to see, and we had a custom player that could play them back so that you could really see the difference in gameplay experience.
And like stitch it into one player so that it's a good experience and whatnot.
That's what we're building.
Dan from the Labs web, the lead of the Labs web team, ran a meeting today that was actually super cool. We've done this with Floatplane before, but it was essentially like a site walkthrough. where you sit the team down, you go through the website, and you get feedback from everybody about like how something feels. Does this work in the way we want it to? Should we change this thing? Whatever. You go through the whole website and do that. And there was some really, really good things that came from that, actually. Some really good feedback from the team. And he's going to throw it to some other people as well, including the Labs local team and Floatplane and stuff like that, just to try to sharpen it up a little bit before we send it out. And there was some really cool ideas that came from that. The only one I'm going to spit out was one of mine, which was we decided that we were going to change how, you know, the compare tool, you press the button, it adds it to your cart.
Yep.
We had another kind of like floating little module on the side that kind of did that as well, but it was a little bit redundant and just a little bit odd. So we were talking about removing it, and I came up with the idea of, because someone else worded, I think it was Dan, but I don't remember who, someone else worded it in a way that gave me this idea. Oh, right. It was like I think the way that it was originally described was, oh, we could just like put some other products there and people could choose to compare those as well. And I was like, okay, but what if it works in a similar way to the Amazon like frequently purchased with section?
Or the,
so we did like
the one they used to have. People who looked at this usually ended up going with this.
So it would be similar to that type of engine.
That.
So now it would be like, this is often compared with these things. So if you're looking at a specific, say, graphics card, it could be like, well, this graphics card is often compared with these. So if you hear of some graphics card from your friend and you're technical enough to know about the Labs website, but maybe you're not so into gaming performance, so you're not super technical in the way of understanding GPUs and their performance and all the different range of possible ones there are out there, and you look up this graphics card, you could see, oh, or maybe headphones, right?
Yep. Might I also suggest?
Yeah. Maybe you should compare against these other ones as well, because everyone else does. So the Labs local team doesn't have to like manually come up with these lists of suggested compares. It just happens fairly automatically. So that's like a cool idea.
It'll take some time to build, but
absolutely. I'm
super
not
cool.
saying it's coming now. I have no idea when we're going to work on it. We have lots of things to do.
Guys, there's so much potential here. Like,
exactly.
Depending on how much we can automate a lot of this capture, there is the potential, but this will not happen in the short term, but there's the potential that you could basically kind of preview, you know, whatever combination of hardware you're interested in. Obviously, there'd be limitations, right? We're not going to go start throwing RTX 4090s on, you know, Core 2 Quad Q6600s just for jollies so that people can like, play around with it. We would want to focus on things that are actually realistic, but the whole idea here is to not just generate this data, not just generate these captures, but make it more digestible. I've got people asking, would this be free? Some level of it will be free. I can't promise that everything will be free. If you're sitting there...
landed on my face.
That was bound to happen eventually. Like if you're sitting there, you know, running it to the point where we're looking at it going, you know, you're running a small business. You're in here for like 2 hours a day, every day, configuring systems for people, sucking up video bandwidth. At some point, you might just need a pro account. So I don't know where that line is going to be.
I didn't want to do it at all. I'm just being transparent, because like when Linus first suggested the side-by-side viewer thing, which was the first idea of integrating,
he was like, YouTube, right?
Yeah. I was like, please, these are unlisted videos on YouTube. And he was like, nope, I want to do it this way. And I was like, okay, what if we did this other option? He was like, nope, I want to do it this way. And I'm like,
I'm not
okay,
wrong.
cool. No, you're not. But this website doesn't have a ton of potential in its current form to make money, and playing video costs a lot of money. So what are we going to do, bro?
Buy screwdrivers.
And this was his answer. And now I'm sitting here like, okay, I have to build this thing that's just going to saddle like a ton of cost. And it's concerning. So we're going to have to figure out at some point how we monetize it. Maybe you have access to certain levels of features. Maybe you can watch a certain amount of comparisons a day or a week or whatever. I have no idea. But just leaving it fully uncorked all the time when we don't want to be super annoying or aggressive with ads. Are we going to have any ads? We don't want to say that right now, I'm assuming. But they're not going to be like super annoying because he's going to want to use it, so they can't be super annoying.
We'll almost certainly aggressively pursue affiliate revenue.
Yeah.
Like that is one of the
That
ideas.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, like if you're ultimately sitting on our site to make a purchase decision, then we want a piece of that, because if you think about it, who did the work? Amazon or us? If you buy ultimately whatever it is that you buy, did the brand do the work? No. Did the retailer do the work? No.
What is
we
it called?
did the work.
What is it called when you're a retail employee and you get a certain amount of money for the amount of products that
Commission.
Commission. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
effectively commission. In that
Yeah,
case.
or like a spiff or whatever you want to call it. Like that's something that we would absolutely pursue. Now, what I can commit now is that suggestion engine, for example, that Luke is talking about, will not prefer items that we get better commissions on.
Yeah.
That is my 100% promise to
It would be
you
purely based on
in perpetuity.
genuinely what things people compare the thing you're looking at with.
Because it's one of those things that makes me so angry about Amazon. That's why that went away. That's why.
That makes sense.
And it was the only thing I used to shop. Their site is utterly unnavigable now. I don't know if that's a word, and I don't care. The point is that was how I shopped, because already their site was impossible to navigate. So if I could find something that was approximately what I'm looking for, then that carousel that had people who viewed this usually bought this was how I found things, like almost every time. And so that's what I want to bring back. I want us to be able to have you show up on some piece of pair of headphones, have a little thing that pops up and says, hey, couldn't help noticing you're looking at AirPods Max. Would you consider perhaps something that is not heavy and that sounds better?
Yeah, basically though. So I think that's really cool. I would have never thought about that if I wasn't prompted by whoever on the team said it. I think it was Dan again. And there was a lot of other actually really cool things that came out of that meeting. So I'm quite excited. But yeah, Floatplane is going to be involved with the Labs website in some way. It seems kind of inevitable now, because he just says, no, we're doing it every time I try to bring up alternatives.
Here's the thing. Like, what's the point of being vertically integrated?
No, yeah, I get it. My only concern is cost.
We have media production, media playback, testing, and we've got this site that needs what? Test data, okay, media production, and media playback. Well, okay, maybe I'll use some other media playback. So, no, I'm not going to do that.
No, it's a great solution, and it's going to end up being very good technically. The only concerns that I have are on the business side. And there were some ideas of like maybe the feature is entirely locked behind a Floatplane subscription, and we just make it so you can subscribe to Floatplane or the Linus Tech Tips Floatplane through the Labs website.
Absolutely.
Or whatever.
That will almost certainly happen, is a more all-you-can-eat Floatplane subscription that also includes some kind of perks on the Labs website. I think that we're going to see some kind of rejuvenation of LinusTechTips.com, the forum, where there will be certain privileges that are granted from that Floatplane subscription. So the more value that we can add to a Floatplane subscription, ultimately, I think the more this whole thing will make sense.
If we're talking about theoretical features that might never exist, another idea of integrating forum stuff is there's been thoughts where the comments, if we decided to do comments, there are no comments right now. This might never be a thing. There might never be comments at all. Like don't take this too far. But if we decide to do comments,
okay, Luke.
If we decide to do comments,
Sure.
They could be integrated in a way where it's really just the forum. And the posts on it are
just a thread.
Forum posts. It's just a thread.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's then integrated into the Labs website, so it's viewable on both, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it might just be this like mesh of websites that form into
because that'll
the
help
Labs
with the
site.
forum's SEO. So it'll like drive up activity. It will just add more user generated content to the forum, which again is also good for SEO.
Not like the forum's ever going to make money, but like.
But if the development we do on the forum can enhance and enrich the experience on the Labs website, well, then all of a sudden it has a reason for existing. No, for real. The forum exists. It celebrated its 10-year anniversary this week. Pretty exciting. I saw that someone changed the banner at the top to the OG Linus Tech Tips logo. Was that you?
No, actually.
Oh, okay. It was probably Mortis or
Yeah,
something.
correct.
Yeah. Anyway, so the forum celebrated its 10-year anniversary, and the forum exists because of the same reason that it has always existed. It exists as a desperation backup plan, somewhere where our community can be that no one can ever take away from us. And number two, because I just thought it should.
And it's caught us in its net before. Like it has saved us before.
Yep, absolutely.
And
Lots
when
of times.
It's like infrastructure, right? When it's working just fine and you don't need it,
It
you're
would
like,
be,
ugh,
yeah.
why do we have this thing? Why do
But
we
then
keep throwing money at this?
when
Then you need
Vessel-
it suddenly and you're like, whoo!
When Vessel goes out of business suddenly and you need somewhere to post your early access videos and some way to collect money from people to get them, you're like, oh yeah, we got a forum. Let's go.
Yeah. It's
Heck
pretty
yeah.
sweet. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, I don't know how the heck we got to that. What
Somehow.
topic were we on?
Don't even worry about
Was
it.
it a merch message?
I think so.
I feel like I just came out of a haze.
The point is, we're really excited. Yeah.
There's so many cool directions we can take it in.
Yeah. And we've had a good year.
Team's really driven. They're killing it.
We had a good year. We're hiring. We're building it. Like let's go. I've seen a ton of speculation. It's really funny because we're so transparent. Like who else but us would put an actual sales counter on the product page for their two biggest launches of the year? Yeah. We are so painfully transparent.
I did flag that when we were making that feature, but yeah.
I know. And the amount of speculation that I see that, Linus has overextended himself on the lab. Keck W, he's going to go under. We're fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
We're all
He's
good.
fine.
Yep.
Everyone is fine.
Yep.
We're growing. Oh, speaking of making money and surviving sponsors.
Also, pay attention to the linusmediagroup.com/jobs page.
Yeah, go look.
Yeah. I'm actually hiring right now.